Hey everybody, this is Jenny from ReStyle. I'm here in the ReStyle studio today and I am going to give you all of my secrets to sign painting. Lots of you have been to our workshops and so you maybe already know this information, but if you haven't been able to make it or you live far away, here are my secrets. So, there are a lot of ways to do signs. A lot of people like to stencil. You can buy stencils online. You can also print them with a Cricut or a machine like that with vinyl, and you can stick it onto a sign and paint that way. Those signs turn out beautiful. I prefer to hand paint signs. I love to just go in with a pencil and draw out what I'm thinking and then paint it. But I also enjoy using a template that I have designed. So today I'm going to show you how to use a template and a transfer method. To start with sign painting, you need a background, obviously. There are a lot of options for backgrounds. You can go and you can buy a canvas, you can buy pre-built signs, you can make your own sign. There's a lot of different options out there. I like using recycled materials and reclaimed wood, so I prefer to use something like pallet wood. We'll build our own signs out of pallet wood sometimes, although pallets are not easy to dismantle, so if you haven't done it before, the wood is free, but there's a lot of work that goes into getting it into a usable condition. Another thing I love to paint on is old cupboard doors, just because they have that nice dimension to them. You can paint the outside one color, the inside another color, and you end up with a really nice looking background that is a framed looking sign. You can also, if you want to use wood but you don't want to deal with dismantling something or cleaning up old reclaimed wood, you can go to Home Depot, Menards, any type of store like that, and they will actually cut down a board for you into the size that you want. You just have to ask them nicely and they will do that for you. You can use other types of fun things. This is a tray that I found at a thrift store. I turned it over, I sanded it, and I painted a sign on there. You can use stuff like that. You can get really creative. This is actually a old closet door that I cut into different sections and painted a sign on there. You can do them framed, you can do them unframed. Really, it's up to you. You can do your signs on whatever surface you have available to you. My only tip on that is that the surface does matter as far as how forgiving it is. So if you're new to sign painting, using the reclaimed wood actually can be easier. It's a little more forgiving. If you use something that is really, really smooth like this, you're going to have to be a lot more precise with your lines because every little mistake shows a little bit better. My trick for that is if you ever go outside your lines, you take your fingernail and you run it right alongside where you want your line to be, and you just real quick clean off that extra paint with your fingernail, and then when the sign is totally dry, go back in with a little piece of sandpaper, sand the rest of it off, and touch it up a little bit with your background color. So if you do make a mistake while you're painting, don't freak out. The whole fun to sign painting is that it is a creative expression, it's stress relieving, it's supposed to be fun, so don't freak out if you make a little mistake as you're going here. So once you have a background picked, then you will need a template. I like to design my own templates. You can design them at home on any type of word processing type of thing. So for like a sign template like this one, you can design it and just print it in several sections and then put it onto your sign. We have started uploading all of our sign templates that we have designed onto our website, restyledlife.com. If you go on there, you will be able to see all of our sign templates that we currently have on there. They will all download as a JPEG, and so you can just put them into a Word document and print them. I'm also in the process of converting all of those to a PDF file so that you could print these off and make bigger signs. So I am sizing them all for you. So you'll have the option of printing it as a one page, just on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, or as printing them as multiple pages, and then what you'll do is lay it out and piece it together. So you could make a long skinny sign, or you could make a big square sign, whatever you'd like. So this one's just a little bit bigger, but it shows you the idea. This would print out on 2 pages of 8.5 by 11, and then you tape them together. You can kind of see you would tape those pieces together, and then you'd get a larger sign. So I'm working on converting all of those files and resizing them for you. It just makes it a lot easier than trying to size it yourself. But if you are tech savvy and you enjoy designing your own stuff, design your own template, print it out. So once you have your background, you have your template printed and ready to go, all your sizes right, you will want to paint your background. I prefer to use Fusion Mineral Paint for this. I've used a lot of different paints, and this one just works the best in my opinion. It gives a nice background to paint on. It gives you a nice smooth line when you're doing your lettering. So this is the color on this one that I use. It is Champlain. Champlain is a nice off-white. It's a great color for getting kind of that rusticy look. This one I really just did one coat and I dry brushed it, left it a little rustic looking. That's the style I'm going for on this one, but it also can give you this really nice crisp look. This one is also Champlain. That is 2 coats, nice and smooth, turns out beautiful. So paint your background first, however you want it to be. If you want it more weathered, if you want it more smooth, completely up to you. Style is your choice. So I'm going to do just a really simple word today because I want to be able to show you this quickly. So I've printed off my word. You can see I've used this one over and over again. And what I'm going to do is I am going to take one piece of blue tape. You can see it on there. Any type of painter's tape or masking tape works great for this. You just want something that's going to pull off your paint but not peel your paint off your board. So 1 piece of tape at the top. This is actually an important part of the process. 1 piece of tape at the top. Take your word, line it up where you want it. I'm going to put this one a little off center just for fun and tape it down to your board. This is obviously a super simple sign that I'm doing today. If you had a larger sign and you are maybe putting multiple words on there, you may need a ruler, get everything lined up. But the first step is to get your words lined up where you want them, and every word that you're going to be transferring, you want 1 piece of tape at the top. So that's ready to go. Now this is where the magic comes in. Carbon paper. This is a transfer paper. I call it transfer paper, but really it's for making carbon copies for like a typewriter. You can get this, I believe, at basically any office supply type store. I found this one at Office Max. It's also available on Amazon. The lovely thing about this is that there are 25 sheets in here. I have been doing this for approximately 7 years, and I've only bought 3 of these, and I do workshops all the time. We reuse these over and over and over again. So this is what they look like. You can see that I've used this one many times. They just keep on working. So what you're going to do is you're going to take 1 piece of this transfer paper, you're going to take the black side, and you're going to slide it underneath that word. Now this is why it's important to have the tape just at the top, because you can see here I can't quite get the top of that L. So I need to be able to move this transfer paper around so that I can get to every part of my letter. So I'm going to put that at an angle to start. And now I'm just going to trace with a pencil. If you're doing a nice smooth surface, you will not have to push very hard to get this to transfer. It'll transfer very easily. If it's a new piece of transfer paper, you're even going to have to be a little bit careful about where you set your hand down, because if you press, you will end up with some marks. The beautiful thing about this transfer paper is that it is fully erasable. So if you do make a mistake, if you set your hand down too hard and you end up with some smudges, do not worry. My motto is never freak out. Everything's fixable. All you have to do is get out an eraser when you're done and erase the parts that you don't want. So I'm going to trace the outline of these letters, because what we're going for is just lines to follow when we paint. So I'm going to trace the outline of all of these letters onto this board. Again, you don't have to push super hard, although if you are using reclaimed wood, you may find spots knots or whatever in the wood that are not transferring as nicely, then you will need to push a little harder. So that's another reason that we just put the tape at the top, because as I am transferring, I will check to make sure that every spot is transferring correctly. And before I pull my word off, I will make sure that I didn't skip anything. If you end up skipping a letter, it is hard to get that word exactly back where you had it before. So you're going to want to lift that up, check, make sure everything looks good, and then you can go ahead and pull that off. So what we have now is we have that word transferred onto our board, and we have lines that we can follow when we paint. So the next step in this process obviously would be choosing a color and grabbing a brush and painting. I'm not going to do that because I just really wanted to show you guys the basic method for doing this so that you can do this at home. So just to kind of review, what you need is a background, really any background of your choice. There's lots of options out there. You're going to want to paint your background with a good paint. You will then need a template of some sort, whether you download one from us or you go ahead and make your own, doesn't matter. Print out a template. If it's a multi-piece template, if it's a big one, tape it all together. Lay your template down on your background. Put a piece of painter's tape at the top. If it's a really long template, obviously you're going to want to tape down multiple places at the top. Take your transfer paper, black side down, slide it underneath, trace, check your work. You don't want to make that mistake. It's not fun. Check your work, pull it off, and then go ahead and paint. I hope that this tutorial was helpful. If you ever have a sign that you'd like me to design, go ahead and send us a message on Facebook. You can find us at ReStyle by JG. You can find us on Instagram, and you can find us on our website, restyledlife.com. We would love to keep up with you, and if you have any ideas, go ahead and send us a message.